Deontay Wilder is apparently set to invoke the rematch clause with Tyson Fury and have the fight, according to the Metro, in June of this year. I personally think that Deontay Wilder deep down doesn't want this rematch. I think that his pride and pressure from people around him are causing him to take the fight. And the reason I say this is because Deontay Wilder built himself up as this fearsome fighter. And this was done through PR as much as it was performances in the ring. And a lot of his support was predicated on this idea that he was this ultimate bad man who knocks people out and everybody's scared of him. He said that there's no way Tyson Fury could stop him. Tyson Fury's pillow-fisted. So the manner in which he was defeated is massively humiliating to Deontay Wilder in front of all the fans who believed him to be this killer. And in order to live up to the image that he built up of himself as this killer and this warrior, he feels like he needs to go back in there against Tyson Fury, because if he doesn't, he's going to look scared in the eyes of those people. Well, I think Deontay Wilder deep down is scared, truth be told. I'm not saying the man's a coward, okay? To some degree, he is a warrior. But so much of Deontay Wilder's confidence, I believe, over the past few years, was derived from his belief in his own head that his opponents were scared of him. This is where he got a lot of his confidence from. You saw it when he was talking about Tyson Fury in the build-up to their rematch. Oh, he's scared. He remembers that knockdown. My punching power. No. Now, some fighters just say this stuff to hype a fight. Some fighters say stuff because they're playing mind games. Tyson Fury is one of them. But when Deontay Wilder says stuff, he's not playing games. He really means it. Deontay Wilder is not as intelligent a man as Tyson Fury. When you see Fury talking rubbish sometimes, he's trolling or he's trying to manipulate people. Deontay Wilder could barely manage to manipulate his own shoelaces to tie them together, truth be told. He's not a smart guy. And so his delusional belief that everybody's scared of his punching power is what gave him so much confidence. But now that Tyson Fury wrecked him in the rematch and showed no respect, he just went in there, bulldozed Deontay Wilder, manhandled him, took him apart. Where's Wilder going to get his confidence for the rematch? Because he can't match Fury technically. And now he knows he can't match Fury physically in terms of strength. His jab on the inside. Where's he going to derive his confidence from? Wilder knows that he's not the best technical heavyweight out there. He said this even before this fight. Again, it was all predicated on, oh, I can land this one big punch at any time. He might come out with bravado in the following weeks and months. Oh, I'm going to get him with a shot in the third fight. Deep down, he knows he ain't gonna. Also, you've got Deontay Wilder's girlfriend, partner, wife, I'm not sure how to describe her. This individual called Telly Swift. Now, she just put up this post saying that, basically insinuating Wilder's going to take the immediate rematch. Now, I don't know this to be a fact. I'm just going off what Jarrell Miller and Dylan White and Deontay Wilder have said in the past. But it would appear as though this woman has had relationships or some type of situation, let's just put it that way, with Jarrell Miller and Dylan White in the past. Now she's with Deontay Wilder. What does that say about her character? I'm just going to leave that as an open question. I've talked about it more in depth on my Patreon, but here I'll just leave you with that. What does that say about her character? I suspect that she looks at Deontay Wilder and loves who he has become not necessarily who he is. That's my suspicion, all right? I think that she is one of the people pressuring him to jump right back in there and take the rematch. I think there's going to be pressure from Shelly Finkel. I think there's going to be pressure from the networks. I think there's going to be pressure maybe from JD's. That's what I personally suspect. I've been around a long time. I've met a lot of people. I'm a good judge of character. And this right here doesn't sit well with me. If you saw, I'm speaking to the ladies out there now. If you saw your man take the kind of beating that Deontay Wilder just took against Tyson Fury, as a woman, would you want your man to go straight back in the ring with that guy? It's kind of like the Rocky movie. Is it Rocky 4? Where he fights Ivan Drago? And his wife is telling him, you can't win the fight, Rocky. Don't take the fight. Because she's just scared for his welfare. You understand? Whereas this young lady, I mean, she's just saying that Deontay should get back in the ring and fight Tyson Fury again after what she just saw. Does she really care about him as a person, or is she more caring about keeping up appearances, keeping up with the Joneses, as we say in the UK? That in order for her to want to be with this guy, he needs to be the champ. He needs to be the center of all this attention and hype. And he's taking this humiliating defeat. Well, you better get back in there and redeem yourself ASAP, or I'm not going to be happy. Do you know what I mean? I suspect that's what's going on there. Again, I could be wrong. But Deontay Wilder, as Peter Fury said a few months ago, was a disaster waiting to happen. Some of you may remember I made this video about it back in January. You can see it there, January 2013. Deontay Wilder, a disaster waiting to happen. In fact, let me play a little clip from the video so you can hear what I'm talking about. Peter Fury thinks that Deontay Wilder is a disaster waiting to happen. In a recent interview with Boxing Social, he said the following: from what I've been hearing and what I'm seeing of Deontay Wilder and the way he done his last fight, he's got too confident relying on one punch, and I see him as a disaster waiting to happen. He's easily outboxed, Wilder. Everybody always seems to outbox him. So I think any person with the right tactics, Wilder's going to lose. Not because Wilder's not talented. Wilder is relying on that power, and he's relying on nothing else. So he's happy to let rounds slip by until he can land his big shot. But with that attitude, that's a recipe for disaster. And that will happen unless he changes his tactics, because he's on borrowed time. Because he's not going to land that big shot every time. I agree with Peter Fury. So that's a little clip from the video I did in January about Wilder, the man being a disaster waiting to happen. And the key point that I want to pick up on there from Peter Fury is Wilder's attitude. Because Wilder is talented, but his attitude was all wrong. That right there for me was a red flag. When a man says, I just need to be right for 2 seconds to land my right hand. And the way he went about the Ortiz fight, throwing no punches and then just waiting on a big right hand. That, I mean, to me, it was so glaringly obvious that that's a recipe for disaster. It's amazing to me that so many people felt like Wilder could do that for the rest of his career and continue to be successful and take no L's. I mean, talk about a delusional mindset. If he didn't lose to Fury he was going to lose to somebody with that kind of attitude. Do people not know anything about boxing history? Like, punching power will only take you but so far. There are going to be fighters out there who know how to negate your power, take it, avoid it, etc. Wilder never planned for that in his head. He never planned for that technically. At 34 years of age, 35 this year, I think Deontay Wilder is too old and too limited, to be honest with you, to be able to reinvent himself at this stage. Certainly reinvent himself enough to beat Fury in a rematch. I would be as amazed as I was by Fury stopping Wilder, I'd be even more amazed if Wilder came back and beat Fury. That would be something new even to me, a grizzled old veteran who's been following this sport for decades. That would be something new even to me. I'm certainly not expecting that. But as I say, Wilder is talented in the sense that he's athletic, in the sense that he has a knack for landing his right hand, in the sense that he's awkward. Even though Tyson Fury was able to walk him down and beat him up, Wilder's not the easiest guy to hit. Don't get it twisted. He's not that easy to hit. But at his age and with his attitude, because apparently he's parted ways with Mark Breland. And I'm not saying Mark Breland was the greatest trainer in the world. I mean, I remember watching an interview with somebody where they said Mark Breland is a good trainer, but Wilder don't listen to him. That might be the case. I don't know. One thing I do know is that Mark Breland actually cares about Deontay Wilder's welfare. And rather than keep people like that around him, Wilder apparently is parting ways with Mark Breland because Mark Breland stopped the fight. I've seen fighters do this before. Don't get it twisted. Their pride is hurt. They start blaming Wilder's trying to blame everybody at the moment for his defeat. He's trying to blame the costume that he wore coming into the ring. He's trying to blame the ref. He's trying to blame Mark Breland. He's blaming everybody but himself. That right there is another red flag, just like him saying that he only needs this one big punch. That was a red flag. Another red flag is the fact that he's blaming everybody for this defeat other than himself, other than his own attitude, because that was one of the key factors to him losing in the fashion that he did. Look, he probably would have lost anyway against Tyson Fury, but he might have been more competitive. He might have been better prepared if his attitude was better. But he went into the fight with totally the wrong attitude. His head had been gassed up to a ridiculous degree over the past year or so. His ego got totally out of control. He had become completely detached from reality, truth be told. And when a fighter is that detached from reality, it's kind of like the male ego, right? I think a lot of men will be able to relate to what I'm about to say. When a man looks in a mirror, he very often sees something greater than what's actually there, physically, which is very different to a woman. A lot of the time when women look in the mirror, they see all the flaws. They see something sometimes inferior to what's actually there. But the way the male mind tends to work, and I'm talking in general terms here, a man will look in the mirror and the man has actually got man boobs, a bit of a belly, not in great shape. But when he looks in the mirror, he sees an Anthony Joshua physique. A lot of men are like this, right? Well, Deontay Wilder is like that times a million. This Tyson Fury defeat has caused him to look in the mirror and for the first time, maybe ever, or certainly in a long time, actually see the true reflection staring back at him. And he doesn't recognize who he's looking at in that mirror. And this is why I think it's going to be more difficult for Wilder to get over this defeat psychologically than it was for AJ to get over the Ruiz defeat. Because AJ was more grounded in reality. He had more real people around him. Didn't have so many yes men around him in his circle as Wilder does. He had Rob McCracken. Rob McCracken tells AJ straight. As much as I'm not really a fan of Rob McCracken as a trainer, as a character, as a mentor, as a person, Rob McCracken is not a yes man. So it's very important to have people like that around. Wilder doesn't have nobody like that around him. He's got a bunch of yes men who just feed his ego. And again, feed into this false image he has of himself. Now that he's finally looking in the mirror, when everybody's away from him, when he's just by himself looking in the mirror, he's now confronted with his true reflection and he doesn't recognize it. When AJ lost to Ruiz, look, AJ knew he was mortal even before that fight. He was already contemplating defeat. Again, some people are going to say this is a weak mentality, but having that mentality allowed him to get over the Ruiz defeat and come back from it more easily. Because AJ was more familiar with his true reflection, with who he really was, than Wilder is. Wilder was so deluded into thinking he was this terrifying killer that everyone's scared of. How's he going to reconcile that previous image he had of himself with the broken man who fought Tyson Fury, who was stumbling around in the corner? So I think it's difficult times ahead for Deontay Wilder. And if he is as great as he says he is, I don't think he's as great as he claims or as great as his fans claim. I think he's a very good fighter. Let's not call Deontay Wilder a bum, because that takes credit away from Tyson Fury's win. Tyson Fury's win was tremendous. He beat a dangerous fighter, a good fighter, but not the great which Wilder has made himself out to be. If he is that great, then he'll come back and beat Tyson Fury in the rematch, or go on to beat other top heavyweights before he retires from the sport. But it's going to be a tough road back, I would suspect. And as Andre Ward has said, as Max Kellerman has said, and various other people within the American boxing scene, I think it's a bad idea for Deontay Wilder to take this immediate rematch. And I think deep down he knows it's a bad idea. He's still putting on this tough guy front because he's trying to save face. That's the kind of audience Wilder cultivated. People who expect him to be this invincible tough guy. But deep down, in his quiet moments when he's alone, when nobody's around him, not even his woman is around him, he knows deep down that I don't want this. That's just my view on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's Hatman, I'm out. Hatman merch is now available. We got t-shirts, vests, hoodies, and more. Just click the link below. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.